Good evening and welcome back along to the Celtic Unrestricted View. It's myself, JP, and joining me this evening is my good man, Mr. Ryan Clifford, and his very special guest at the bottom of your screen, folks. Yes, it's a man that was due to be on a fortnight ago, and he fell asleep and missed his bus. Now he's made it in time. He's here tonight. It's a very special guest, Mr. Michael Gardyne. Michael, it's good to have you on, mate. How are you?
Aye, good, aye. Sorry about that a couple of weeks ago, mate. But I'm here now.
Yeah, definitely. And Ryan, it's really good to have him on.
I'm glad he's missed the 41 a few times, mate, because I miss it and all, so I know how it feels, mate. So, no, listen, Mitch is a fantastic character, mate, fantastic footballer. He's a fantastic career, mate, and look forward to getting back on. He's a cracking chap, mate, and his knowledge of football as well. Still playing at a good level as well with Montrose, mate, so looking forward to having more and cheer again, Mitch.
Yeah. It's as Ryan says, it's great to see you, mate. Last time we seen you, you had some really interesting stories and juicy stories at your days at Celtic. Obviously, tonight's part 2 of that, like we did say before we would do. And I just kick us off, man. Obviously, we've got you at Ross County and Dundee United. So wherever you feel comfortable kicking off, Michael, feel free to start us off, mate. So, playing in the Scottish Premier League with Dundee United, what like was that, mate?
Aye, it was brilliant. Obviously, I done no bad at Ross County and got a move. It was a decent move at the time. I was 26, and they had so much talent in that squad. Peter Houston was the manager, and they had a great squad. Stuart Armstrong, Sean Dillon, John Suter, all the young boys were coming through. Suter and Ryan Gold, Andrew Robertson. It was a good time. It was a good time to sign, and I had a good year there, to be fair.
As Ryan, as Michael says, Ryan, obviously some really good names he's mentioned there. Stuart Armstrong, who went on and done very well at Celtic. Now he's down in England, and he's made a good career for himself, mate. I'd imagine that would have been a great experience for him, especially playing, going in and playing with some of the boys and, learning some new stuff for him.
It's probably a situation where years ago at Hibs, I know when you had like Brown and Thompson and stuff like that, that was maybe United's, I don't want to say golden generation, but some of the guys were really, really good back then, and you don't know if they signed together, like the guys Stephen, Midge, yourself, Armstrong, guys like that, if they signed together a bit longer, who knows what they could have done in the league. I'm not saying win the league or anything, but maybe potentially Dundee United up to maybe the highest position and stuff like that. So we did, like you say, Stuart Armstrong, keep Celtic, Mackay Stephen, and that Scottish squad for United were always good to watch as well. So, like you say, JP, it's a top level of football, and to get to that level, you've got to do something about you. Obviously, missing through the academy at Celtic, and I've always said, as much as like guys like Forrest and stuff, I'm not the biggest fans, but you take a step back and you think about what you've come through the Celtic academy. Anybody that comes through the Celtic academy, mate, you've got to do something about you.
Yes.
And is that something, Midge, that did actually help you through your career? I know it probably did, but maybe get back on all ground here, mate. But see, when you go to Celtic younger and you come through that academy and you go and play with like United and Ross County in the first team, does it make you better to not in the surroundings, going and playing in front of stadiums and playing with some good players? Does that make you better in your kind of aspect of playing football at a first team level?
Aye, definitely. Just that upbringing at Celtic and that surroundings, and it was incredible. Like the coaches, Willie McStay, Tommy Burns, and obviously the first team at that time was Larson and Hartson, Sutton. You're learning off they boys, and coming through from I was 12 when I signed there. Coming through, then you sign pro at 16, and you get a chance to play at under 18s level, reserves, train with the first team. That coaching you get from 16 onwards, your knowledge of the game, even your position tactically on the pitch, we worked on all that sort of stuff, and it just sets you up perfectly. Obviously incredible if you could go and make it properly, like James Forrest said in McGeady. I just fell short, but that grounding stood me well for when I left, and obviously went and signed with Ross County.
So obviously, when you obviously you've left Celtic and went and signed with Ross County. Did you see a big difference at the time in terms of the standards that were set from Celtic to then going to Ross County? Was there a massive difference between the two clubs?
I actually went to Morton first for 6 months. I left Celtic. I went up to Ross County on loan, back to Celtic, and I signed for Morton for 6 months. And that was like an eye opener, just in a way that like you're so well looked after at Celtic, and you maybe take it for granted a little bit. I went to Morton and we were like training just on like an average pitch and need to take our own gear home to wash it and stuff, which is terrible to say. Like that shouldn't have bothered you, but I was thinking, wow, like I've come for there, right? I want to go and do well, and I want to get back to the SPL, and I went to Ross County, and the standard was really good because obviously I was at Celtic. Obviously, I trained with the first team for a amount of time. I nearly broke under Strachan and kind of ruined it for myself and my attitude. So I was more in the reserves there. So then when I went to Ross County's first team, the standard was actually good, training was good, and the setup was brilliant at Ross County. The training pitches, 3 or 4 outdoor pitches, indoor pitch, and it was pretty much the same setup. Everything was done for you, like your kit, your lunch. The gym was decent, so I was quite lucky that I got a club like Ross County. I was basically just going there to there, and it was an easy exchange for me.
Ryan, that's obviously we've spoke at length about that as well, mate. And obviously when you come through at Celtic's academy, like you said yourself there, mate, you've also got to have something about you. You can't just go through the training levels and then like you all of a sudden you're not good at what you do, because you've obviously had to have talent to even get. I mean, as Mud says, mate, to play along, to go on the training field alongside guys like Larson, Sutton, John Hartson, experienced proper pros, Alan Thompson, Neil Lennon, Didier Agat, guys like that, and then to Madge has probably been a bit reserved there when he says he ruined it for himself. It's just one of those things. I think in football, you maybe don't have regrets. You just your journey just goes where it goes, and that's it. I don't think there's anything deliberate Midge done that scuppered that for him. I think it was just at the time.
No.
Well, unless you know a different story, mate. Then.
Well, let's be fair. He told us he went into lamppost like training ground. So
well,
I had a great pre-season and with Strachan, and we went down south and we trained at where the England training camp. It was brilliant. I think I told you, I went to Rod Stewart's house and trained in his back garden. Ages. But I was just like, I played against Leeds, got man of the match at Celtic Park, and then I just started doing stupid stuff in training. Like Strachan was loving me, and then I just started like, he had a bit of OCD the way he would set up the balls for the small boxes and stuff, and it just took one person to say something to me, like Chris Sutton, Midge, go and slide tackle the balls, because he wasn't getting on with Strachan either, and I'm away tearing in, slide tackling 10 balls. Like, and then running into like rugby posts and stuff, and I think it's brilliant because I'm making Hartson and Sutton and that laugh, when really Strachan's just watching thinking you're a good player but your attitude's miles off of it. I don't know if he was thinking that, but he probably was, and just a few things like that. I probably ruined it for myself. I'm not saying I would have done an Aidan McGeady and broke into the team and nothing like that, but I would have had a better chance if I wasn't acting like an idiot like that, just a like daft young boy.
So do you reckon do you honestly reckon that's obviously part of the reason why then you moved on? Do you think that's what that helped, like, to get you out the door kind of thing?
Probably. Like I said, I had that pre-season. It was unreal, and then I was on like the bench first couple of games of the season. And then I was doing stuff like that in training, and then one day Strachan was just like, "Oh, you're going up to Ross County on loan. Like, you couldn't get me any further away. You're going up to Dingwall, wee man. I've had enough of you." And I actually went up and done quite well that season at County. So I'm going back to Celtic thinking I'll get a chance here, and Strachan just took me right in. He just said, listen, got Aidan McGeady, Sean Maloney, Nakamura all in your position, so it's probably best you move on, which was good, because at least he was honest with me. Like, I still had a year left. I could have just stayed and played in the reserves and stuff, but once I had that taste for first team football, the season that I had at Ross County, I wanted to keep playing first team football, and obviously wasn't going to get that at Celtic. Some unbelievable players in front of me, like incredible. So then I went, Jim McInally took me and I signed for Morton for 6 months, and then found my way back up to Ross County.
So when you initially went up to Ross County on loan, how did you find that sort of change? Like, but in terms of you being the way you are, and obviously an outgoing character and stuff, but was Ross County a club that just suited you to a T in terms of you were allowed to go and express yourself and do the things you wanted to do as a footballer up there as well?
Aye, it was brilliant, because the lads were great as well. When I went up, it was like Craig Sampson, Andrew Dowie, Alex Keddy, Paul Lawson, Sean Higgins, like, pardon me, good lads, like, just welcomed me in the dressing room. Right away from day one, I knew I could just be myself. And then on the field, obviously, got that role where I was playing left or I was playing in the 10, like off the front. I had that free role to do what I wanted, as long as defensively I was getting back in. And I kind of thrived off it, and obviously done not too bad.
Sorry, Ryan, I thought you were going to say something there, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just. I think a lot.
I paused there. Sorry, mate. I threw him right off that there.
No, I get what Midge is saying in terms of maybe things for done right and wrong, but a lot of guys get released from Celtic or they leave Celtic and they don't really do much for a career, JP. It's the same now. Guys who leave Celtic now, reserves or under 21s or youth development, very rarely do they go and still really play first team at a good standard. Maybe they go right down the leagues and stuff, but Midge still continues to play at a good level. JP still playing full-time football. He's played in the SPL again, like you just said there, he wanted to get back to the SPFL, and he done that. He didn't just play in the SPFL, he played in the Premier League against Celtic again. So, like he says, he still played at a top level. And Ross County, obviously, would be Derek Adams, which I know recently he's one of the best at times in media stuff up here, but how we see he's a manager, I know he's had a lot of success underneath him. Was there anything he done to make you, like you said, in that free role and stuff, and you really done a good job at Ross County? Was there anything he said to you that made you be the player you were, or was it a case of just relax? I know you're talented, go and help the team and basically go and score goals and do what you can do as a football player?
Aye, it kind of was like that at the start, but me and Del had like not even a love-hate, it was like a like-hate. He would come for me at half-time nearly every game. Didn't matter how I was playing, he would come for me at half-time, and it was like he knew it would get a reaction at me, because in the second half I'd go and score and I'd give it straight to him, straight to the manager's team. Like, that's crazy, you can't be doing that, but he loved it. But we had a great team, and listen, he obviously was a good manager, but there was a lot of times he had crazy team talks, and we would go out on the pitch and we would get in a huddle and say, lads, let's do it for us, kind of thing, because he's crazy, like he's off his head. But he was a good manager, very high strung, but honestly the squads that I played with under Del were brilliant, and we, on more than one occasion, we would say to ourselves, like, F him, like, let's do it for us, lads, let's do this for us, which is crazy.
Got a wee question, Madge, for yourself, mate. It's come in from the YouTube, one of our commenters, John Maloney. He says, Michael, how many great players have you saw go to waste?
I wouldn't say hundreds, but like loads. But like, no just go to waste, like different scenarios, maybe somebody's attitude and then just filtering away. Like you say, a handful go and make a career for themselves, the rest just fall down the leagues and then go play junior or whatever. But then there was a few that had shocking injuries. There was a boy coming through, he was a year or two older than me, Mark Malloy, and he was incredible.
Oh,
I've heard that name before.
Unbelievable. And then I think it was his knee he done really bad. I'm sure it was his knee. And he came back and stuff, but he was just never the player. And he was the next best thing. He was the next, I think he was maybe Maloney's year.
Played against him at school. He used to go to St Pat's.
Aye.
I played against him at school level.
Aye.
Frightening, man.
There's loads, and just that different scenarios where maybe it's an injury, which is horrible, like a young lad, 16, 17, 18, being tipped to be the next whoever, and then he gets a bad injury and he just never kind of recovers from it. And then I've seen loads just, like you say, just filter away, and they might get a wee move to like a champ team, but then if they didn't do well there, they just fall away and go and play juniors or whatever.
See, on that much, do you think that see guys that maybe get released for Celtic or even Rangers across the water, Aberdeen, Hearts, anything like that in the top division, see when they can maybe go to the World Championship or League One to get experience again or kind of build themselves back up, do you think it would be beneficial for maybe somebody to, I'm not saying that the club who release them or let them go to maybe have somebody wear them, but maybe somebody to guide them and say, look, go down to here, this is, or maybe a guy that, I don't know if it's a guide coach or an agent or somebody to help them, as a counsellor or whatever, to help them maybe go on their journey, because some guys, when they go down, their head could just go, like, even though they maybe got all the talent, but they might go for like Celtic to, like you say, it's maybe, I don't know, Stirling Albion, maybe League One at a time or League Two, and they might go, it's a total culture shock. They're not getting, like you say, their kit wash, they're not getting lunches all the time, and I know that might be simple things, but simple thing like that, throw guys going through full-time football to part-time, especially at a young age, do you think maybe more can be done to help these guys rebuild their careers?
Maybe, aye. It's just that one, like, if you've got an agent, you've got your family around you, to pick you up and rally you. We've got like the Players Union, we've got that PFA who they offer every service you can imagine to talk to people, whatever it is. I think as well, like when I got told from Strachan that this is just me personally, but when I got told that, like I didn't speak to my family for 2 or 3 days, I was so gutted, devastated, feeling sorry for myself. And then I don't know what it was, just 3 or 4 days in, I just thought, am I just going to feel sorry for myself, or am I going to like get my finger out and get back playing and go and have a career? Because I think people could be guilty of that as well, just feeling sorry for themselves for too long. And then once the switch like flicks, it's too late. Like nobody's wanting you anymore because you've not done good enough the last 6 months. I think you need to have that like fire in your belly to be like, right, I've not made it there. Right, I need to man up here. I'm only 18, 19, but I need to be a man. I need to go and make a career for myself. This is what I want to do. I want to be a professional footballer. Because you could have people, you need people around you and supporting you, but you need it from within as well. Because you could have an agent or a good mum and dad or whatever, but they didn't play for you. They could just be there for you. But you're the one that needs to go and deliver.
See, when obviously the senior, when you get to like first team level, training with the first team in your youth as well, is there certain sort of like markings you've got to have to obviously meet a certain grade point to stay within that group, or is it just you've got to impress as in what you're doing in terms of your talent, the way you apply yourselves, are you training well, your attitude's really good? What is it that is it a kind of standard bearer you've got to meet as well when you're there? And if you don't, then you kind of don't get that opportunity, if that makes sense.
Right. I think it's a wee bit everything you just mentioned. I think it is talent. I think it's the way you live your life. Like, we're 18, 19-year-old boys living in Glasgow, playing with Celtic. Like, don't get me wrong, we're out all the time. Me, Aidan, Charlie Mulgrew, Rocco Quinn. Like, Tuesday night we'd be out, but we would never be out when we weren't allowed to be out. Like, we'd go out on a Tuesday night because we were off a Wednesday. Like, in Glasgow as well, you know, Tommy Burns was like that Sir Alex Ferguson way in Manchester. Like, if you had a night out, Tommy Burns knew you were out. You knew what boozer you were in, what nightclub you went to, who you spoke to. Do you know what I mean? So, and then obviously we were in the digs and that as well. So we were getting looked after, like, we had all our food and that, we were getting cooked meals, like, you're well looked after. So I think it is just a wee bit at everything. There was never a point, like, obviously at the end of your contract, that you would be judged and you would be, right, you're good enough, you're no good enough. But there was never, like, points during the season or that where they're like, oh, you're no meeting this criteria or that. You just basically had to go and do your best in training every day, in a game, in the gym, around Celtic Park, your behaviour, the way you speak to people, like the background stuff and that Celtic are brilliant, like people that do the laundry and stuff, and John Clark it was at the time, Kitman, like all the wee bits that just like all came together. And if you could be brilliant, you could be one of the best players, but then if your attitude's not right, or if you're not doing like your off-field stuff right, then they would just bin you at that time anyway when I was there.
That's quite interesting, isn't it, Ryan? Because obviously I think a lot of people looking in from the outside, mate, I think they think it's like when you play football, you've got to meet like a certain modules and point scoring you've got to meet and stuff like that. As Michael just says here, I hope none of the boys are watching this, by the way, because they'll be slagging you and calling you the next Lee Wallace for grassing them all in it, but being out in night suit.
Great
so,
times.
I do apologise if Big Mulgrew are watching us tonight, mate, I tell you. But no, like you says, mate, they're all, you've seen Charlie enough on TV, you've seen him at Celtic, you know, the guys he mentioned, Ryan, they're all big characters, they're all really good lads, and listen, a bit like ourselves, mate, we like a good night out, and we like a bit of fun and stuff like that as well, but I think it's quite interesting, as Miz says here, Ryan, in terms of that. I think that's a really good insight for young, especially any young lads watching this. It's aspiring to be the next best thing they can be. That, you know, it's just pure down to hard work. You know, it's not down to you just you don't need to meet certain targets, or it's, you know, I think a lot of kids maybe think there's a lot of pressure, Midge, in terms of when you go in and it's all these coaches assessing you and you've got to meet these deadlines and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. Obviously, that's not the case, but you do have to have the generalisation of talent. And but talent isn't, for me, talent's not enough. I think you've got to do more, like you says, mate, in terms of your lifestyle and everything else. So, Ryan, I do think that's quite a big thing, mate, if you're aspiring to do that.
I would say so, especially nowadays. I think nowadays you need to be an athlete. You play full-time football in general, you're an athlete, but I think these days, again, maybe it's just me watching football, you see some guys maybe these days who might not be talented as players. Just say Celtic, right? At the moment, you've got Maeda, who I don't think technically, I know it sounds daft, I'm sitting here talking about these guys, but I don't think technically he's the best one I've ever had at Celtic. But it's what he does off the park, i.e., sorry, not off, but in the game, he's high pressing and he basically helps Greg Taylor. He helps Bernabei when he's playing defensively because he's up and down. That effort and desire, that's not just, he's doing it for the team, but that's in him to work hard for himself and his team. Yeah. And like I said, but Mid, see you as a football player, obviously, from just I'm more talking to my experience. A lot of guys these days, I think we come on, like when managers get the sack or managers aren't really doing well, the media and everything, it's just all pins to the manager. I'm a big believer the manager can only take you so far, and it's down to the players and they put across what he's trying to put across, and if they're not doing well, then the effort of the players, obviously not it, but the application of the players, if it's happening in the park, doesn't really get questioned much. It's always a manager. But like you've just said as well, JP, you can have talent. I'm a believer. I wasn't the best of players, but I always ran my socks off, and I think that does get you. But is that something that you think maybe it's always the manager that gets the blame because she's a head figure, but sometimes maybe the players just only do maybe nothing but the manager's putting across?
Aye, you see it all the time, and always in the press, because it's the manager that does the press. The odd player will do it, but a player's hardly ever going to come out. Like mere players should be like, aye, we were to blame the day kind of thing. But it's always the manager comes out and, oh, I got my tactics wrong, whatever it was. But it's 11v11. Like, your tactics could be just, you could sort things out on field, like whether it's shapes or whatever. A manager will spot that and be like, right, we're changing to 3-5-2, whatever it is, whatever shape it is. But there is a lot of the time, like, obviously the manager can only do as much as you could do. Like, the manager's week is Monday to Friday, and then the players is Saturday for 90 minutes. So it is that way where, like, there's a bit of blame probably for everybody in clubs that are in situations like that. But when I've been in changing rooms and we've been struggling, like, I've played with some good lads that the boys are like, right, we need to get the finger at the arse here. Like, we've been crap kind of thing. Like, the players know, like, they're all human. Like, they know, everybody knows when you're not doing well in whatever line of work you're doing. You know if you've had a bad day at work, or you know if you've had a good day, you know what I mean? That is one of the ones. And then just touching on that, what you said as well about Maeda, like, that is like, he's the perfect person to say about, he is the perfect team player. Like,
yeah,
you could probably count on one hand how many, like, special players is with tricks and flicks, like your Messi's, Ronaldo, Mbappe, and that. Teams don't have them. Teams have 11 players they're good players, but they work their nuts off for each other at whatever level it is. If you've got 11 boys that are wanting to fight for each other and win for each other and go into tackles and make simple passes, then you're going to be a successful team.
Yeah, she's a young lad as well, Midge, in terms of being in round about the first team and everything else. What like's the overall feeling for you guys when you feel as if you've been deserving of a chance in the first team, and you think you've done enough in terms of what you've done day to day and stuff for a good foreseeable time, and then maybe Celtic go out maybe in the January window or something, and they buy another young guy, but he's a foreign guy, and he comes in, and then what like's the feeling there? Do you guys just stay calm, or like how do you guys take that as the younger guys as well?
I think it was just, I don't know, maybe if I came through at like Dundee United or something, it would be a bit different, but just because we were at Celtic, it's probably the same Celtic and Rangers, it was just normal. Like, we would have boys, we had like Teddy Bjarnason and players like that come in, same age as us. Like, you didn't get a chance to think why they're bringing players in for there when they've got us. Like, they just come in and you're like, right, he's my position, right, let's be teammates, but I want to be better than you, I want to get to the first team before you, kind of thing, whatever it is. But I don't think you've got a chance to think of that, because they could sign somebody on the Monday, you're straight back into training on a Tuesday, and you need to be ready to go.
I think that's pretty fair, Ryan, isn't it? I think that's, but I also think there's that element. I've always wondered what it felt like in terms of, does it put that element of doubt in you? You know, when like, just say for Celtic years ago, they signed a young lad, you know, Stefan Bones, right, and his younger guys like Midge and stuff coming through, you know.
He was honking, man.
You took the words right out my mouth. You get in there. They're one of your slide tackles again, mate. You just get right in there, right in front of
me. Lovely lad, great hair.
Great hair.
I was doing it tomorrow. Some lad.
Aye, some lad, but he was honking.
Aye. See what you probably do. There will be players, because every individual's different. There will be players that maybe think, oh shit, but can I swear
Aye.
There will be players that are like, oh no, kind of thing. But then there'll be other players that maybe, don't know, they're maybe stronger mentally, whatever it is, like bring it on kind of thing. Like, he's my position, but he was Stefan Bones. He was obviously a few years older than us, and we were thinking, fucking hell, like, he looks the part and stuff. And then I had a couple of training sessions where I'm like, I didn't need to worry about him, lads, kind of thing. But then on the other side, there'll be another player that comes in. He's brilliant. Like, it's just coming through at a big club. They're going to look for the best players around the world, whether they're younger or whether they're like in their prime, whatever it is. And that's just the way it is. Clubs like that.
I know you mentioned he had nice hair. I know another guy with nice hair. Here he's here. Take that wee guy there.
Looking brilliant.
His hair's amazing, man. Parading that double denim up with Savoy.
It's kind of at mid-stage, but JP, like, even when me and you played younger, you always look at guys who maybe come in, or guys on trial thinking, right, oh, he looks alright, I need to step up my game, or like Mad says, it might be a guy who you know he's not really good. He's not committed to take matches. I'm all right for a good few weeks, but I think it's just natural. A football player, it doesn't matter £100 million signing or a grand signing, you're going to be sceptical of the guy coming in and who's going to position. You always want to be better than. When you see maybe they might be better than you, or they might be maybe a bit kind of nipping top, thinking, right, well, if he's maybe getting that, I'll look and see if I can maybe outrun him, or my attitude could be better. There's loads of things in football, JP, that you can try and get your number on somebody who's come in. But like Mid says, you're still part of a team. You still need to be professional and obviously be happy for the guy that's playing. I'm the same, sitting in the bench. I hope he gets injured. I mean, I want to play, but realistically, you want your team to play well, and you want the guys to score goals and obviously so you go and win league titles and stuff. But Mid at Ross County, I know you played with guys like Paul Lawson, Sean Higgins as well. The guy that I know you played with, Dylan Dow, how was he? He looked like Dylan Dow, striker. Did you play with him?
Oh, Dylan,
I think he was Dutch. He looked quite a physical kind of player and stuff. And how was he? Because he actually looked quite decent, I thought.
He was good, like big, strong boy, striker. He could hold it in well and he could finish. He was all right. He done quite well. I liked him. I liked playing with him.
You see, when you play with guys like that who are quite like Celtic at the moment, they've signed the boy from Norwich, Adam Ida, he's called him. We were a wee bit kind of like, we don't know about him. He's from Norwich, but he seems to be physical, strong, powerful. Is that the sort of striker you'd like to play with? To knock the ball into him, hold it up, and then kind of like to play with you?
You're always, as a striker, you always want your striker to be able to like hold it in and like lay it off and then spin and get in the box. Obviously, if you get 2 in 1, where they like running behind and taking it to feet, is ideal. But for me, going through my career when I was playing off the front, I wanted the ball to like miss me out, hit the striker, he's laying it off, I'm playing it wide, we're getting balls in the box. But I had the season I enjoyed Ross County when I played in the 10 was Colin McMenamin. You remember how he played with Dundee?
Yeah.
He played up front that season. We got promoted to the SPL for the first time. I had a great season with him playing. He had a bit of everything, well, apart from pace, but he was so good at holding it in, laying it off. He was so good finishing. He was so good in the air. I enjoyed
strong
that
as well, wasn't he?
Aye, strong guy, aye. And then obviously I had a season at Kelly and I played with a certain striker there, and he was brilliant at that as well. Big Chris Boyd, just big, strong, holds it in, lays it off, gets in the box, wants to score goals. I love playing with a striker like that.
In all honesty, but many pies did they used to eat at half time?
Yeah, see the season I was there. The season I was there, he was actually in great shape. I'm sure, did he not get called back into the Scotland team that season?
I
think you might be right. Was that around about the 13-14 season?
I can't even remember, but he was in great shape, and he used to, like, when we used to do runs and that, he'd be shouting, "I'm so fast," like, and he wasn't, but he actually looked it because he was shouting while he was running. But he got himself in great shape that season, and I'm sure he did. I'm sure he got called back up into the Scotland team, eh?
I think he did. Did Scotland win the Kirin Cup round about then, and they beat like Bulgaria and Japan? It was in Japan, wasn't it? Was that not about then?
I'm not even sure.
Am I right in saying that? I know they won the Kirin Cup, didn't they? They won the Davy Weir and Chris Boyd, and I'm sure that's round about when you're talking about there, Midge, in terms of him getting back into that team.
I think Midge was on, that's right, if I researched properly. That's when it was 13, so...
There you go, I done that off the cuff, Ryan.
But see obviously at Dundee United as well, you guys like Armstrong and stuff. How was that to play in under, I know you played with Jackie Marcus, how was he as a manager as well? I know he was, a lot of guys can I say he was good for like guys like Armstrong and stuff, but how was Jackie Mack?
I've got obviously I was at Jackie with Celtic when I was a young boy, And I liked him, but he was weird. He was a weird first team player, like Alan Thompson, Neil Lennon, that they were all brilliant. Jackie was weird, where like he would try and hit you with socks and like dirty pants and that, and he'd pretend it wasn't him and that. But anyway, at United, I had a good first season under Peter Houston, and then it was when Jackie came in, it went tits up for me. I don't know what I'd done. I must have done something to him when I was a young boy at Celtic, but I was training well, and he just never fancied me. And he used to say to me, "Oh, I was excited about you when we got the job and we knew you were here," but he used to say to me, "You're not really doing it." And I'd be like, "But I'm the best player in your training, so I don't know what you're talking about." He didn't like confrontation, and we had a bit of a falling out about it, and I went on loan to Kelly because I just didn't get on with him and Darren Jackson. I just didn't like the way they done things. But a few years ago I spoke to Jackie, and we're all good now, and I met Darren Jackson in Glasgow. But it just never worked out for me at United under Jackie. He put me to the reserves and stuff, which he denies for some weird reason. But it just did not work out for me under Jackie.
It's weird that, isn't it, Ryan? Because obviously you hear it, different players come out and they say that about managers in terms of, for some reason, the managers took a disliking to me, or it's weird how football works that way, innit? The way, like, it's just certain individuals just somehow. Do you think it's just a clash in personalities, Midge? Maybe.
It could have been, but Jackie's not really got a personality. He's just.
Oh, is he no? Right. Okay. We're definitely, we're in the Evening Times now. We're at the Daily Record earlier on now. We're at the Evening Times with this headline.
He was just a quiet guy. Like, he didn't like confrontation. He didn't like, if you asked to speak to him in the office, he had to have Darren Jackson, Simon Donnelly in with him. He didn't like, so it wasn't really a clash of personalities. I didn't think. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm convinced I'd done something to him when I was a young boy. I remember he put me to the reserves, and a couple of the lads were brilliant. I think it was maybe John Rankin, Paul Payton, Sean Dillon, John Daly might have still been there. And they went in and said to him that they weren't happy with the treatment I was getting, and I was training well with the first team, so I was going to the reserves. And then the next day I was back with the first team. So that was brilliant from the lads doing that. But it was just weird, like, he came in towards the end of the season, and then he had all pre-season, like, we're time off, we had 6 weeks off. He had that full time to tell me he didn't want me. He never. So I'm thinking, right, I'm going to get myself in great shape, go back to United, have a good pre-season. He phoned me the day before we went back to pre-season and said, "Mitch, just to let you know, you could find another club, whether it's on loan or permanent." And I'm thinking, could you not have told me that 6 weeks ago? Like, I could have got something sorted, kind of thing. But I went back in and I done well in pre-season, and then it still never worked out. And then that was when I went back up to Ross County again.
So had he changed short, like for Jackie as a player then? Had he changed as a person, Midge, do you think, to Jackie as your manager?
He probably did. Obviously, player manager is two different things, but I was just a young when Jackie was a first team player, and he was brilliant. I loved him. I thought he was brilliant. Celtic player, incredible. And then he was quiet at Celtic. He was quiet. He was close with Alan Thompson. They had a great wee partnership where they would take the piss out of people. But he was so quiet, and then he was the same as a manager. He was very quiet as a manager. Even his team talks and that, he didn't say too much. He was quiet. Darren Jackson and Simon Donnelly would take a lot of it. They would take a lot of the training. But Jackie kind of done well at United. And that was probably a bit of both. It was probably because him and his management team were good, and because the players were unbelievable. The squad was so good.
I remember his team against us at Hampden. I was at Hampden that day when they ran Celtic really close. It was, I think, a game finish, was it 4-3?
I came on that game.
You did. You did.
I had a chance in the last kind of minute. I was like a header though, and I've not got the neck muscles to get it. And he slaughtered me after the game for it. And I'm thinking, mate, I'm not Chris Sutton. Like, I'm 5'5", and I'm not going to score a header for there. So chill out. But anyway, it was the end of that season where that went kind of tits up, and then I ended up needing to go to Ross County.
See,
And then
obviously that's like you Johnny Russell and all Wally Flood, who say my wee Aaron went to a wedding last week and was saying I Wally Flood in a football strip, but guys, wait, we'll send you that photo, Barry. Big Aaron looks like Wally Flood in a football strip.
He looks like Bobby Boucher at Waterboy, man.
See that team. Do you think when that team tied together and like yourself and when you were on form as well, do you think they could have been I don't want to say a golden generation for United, but I think they could have really I don't want to say challenge Celtic, because to do that you need to be really, really good. But I think if you stay together and you kind of connected as a team more and had more time together, do you think you can maybe done something in that league?
Maybe like challenging for third and fourth and stuff. Like my first season under Hoosty, like I can't remember where we finished in the league, but we got into the Europa League. Like we played Dynamo Moscow the following pre-season in the Europa. Like I think we drew 2-2 or 3-3 at home, and we're thinking we've got a chance here. We went over to Russia and got battered 5-0. But that squad got to like Scottish Cup finals and done well. But then obviously Andy Robertson gets sold and Gaz and Stu go to Celtic. Nadir Shifty leaves. Like the squad just got broken up, and then I don't even know. Maybe ever since then they've kind of been yo-yoing between the SPL and the Champ, haven't they? They've never kind of been that team that they were with that squad.
Some JP actually you mentioned about Nadir. We see obviously United have done very well. Midge, was he decent? Because I know Celtic didn't work out, but I think it maybe shows you the levels for going for United to Hearts or Aberdeen, then going to Celtic. Because for me, I know I didn't play that level, but I just think the level it's still quite a big jump. And I think Stuart Armstrong said as well, Mackay Stephen, but the fitness levels to Celtic and the sharpness that they can adapt to that. How was Nadir? Because I thought he was decent United and he walk out at Celtic.
He was brilliant, He was brilliant. Every day in training, brilliant. Games, brilliant. And then you go to Celtic and see what, like, you're probably playing with better players, better team. You're at the top of the league, so you're thinking it should be easier. But you don't know, because I've never played with Celtic. Like at Celtic Park, 60,000. Maybe it's just that pressure, that expectancy. You need to win every game. You need to be brilliant every time you've got the ball. Like, so maybe just that way it never worked out for Nadir. But because I thought Stu was done very well at Celtic, Stu Armstrong.
Yeah.
I thought he had some great games, like expect goals against Rangers and stuff, and then also gets a decent move down the road. So I think it's just, obviously you need to be fit and stuff. You've got Champions League and stuff at Celtic, and you need to be fitter, quicker. Your like football thought of process needs to be quicker. But then at Dundee United, they're playing against the same teams that Celtic are playing against, and he was brilliant at Dundee United. So it's just a weird one. That's where I think maybe it is that pressure of playing for Celtic, that expectancy for the fans. Like that's probably a big pressure for players like leaving, going for like a United. Like look at Andrew Robertson, what he's went away and done.
Yeah.
It's never phased him, is it?
That's what we do personally. The guys like Mid and obviously Baz doing again. He's still plays play at the moment with Sheffield Wednesday. And I think when it's just my personal opinion, Jay, you can come in and obviously speak to Midge about this, but I feel that obviously we're talking about Majowski and stuff at Celtic, Rangers obviously get John Stewart and stuff. John Stewart was fantastic at Hearts and he's went to Rangers, he still plays, but he's no hurt at Hearts. That's how I feel personally sometimes when Celtic go for guys in that league and in the same league and they go to Celtic, not every man is going to be a success, even though they're doing well at their clubs. I think Midge is right. I think it's the pressure, the mentality shift for going for that team to obviously to Celtic. You think maybe you spoke about it, but I think Midge is definitely onto something there.
Yeah, 100%. But obviously, not just that. We've had long conversations, Midge, recently, myself and Ryan, regarding the lad Majowski at Aberdeen. And obviously the big lad's doing really well right now. He's scoring a lot of goals, and we've kind of says, you know, for me personally, I would take him my absolute heartbeat to Celtic. But like you says there about Nadir, it must be a different mindset when you go and make that jump. You know, I know you're saying that, you know, they're playing against the same teams every week, okay, but I mean, you'll be able to tell us from the reverse side of leaving Celtic, moving down, obviously down to other teams in the leagues. Is the you know the speed of training, the fitness level, is it different, Midge? Is it in terms of the, you know, where you need to be at in terms of to make that grade at Celtic?
Aye, it will be. And see what as well, like training at any football team at any levels, it depends on how much the players put into it. The players make a training session. Like you could do the same possession drill at Dundee United as you do at Celtic, but it's how good the players make it. If you know what I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if that,
Yeah.
but even when I left, I was at Ross County in the Championship, and I signed for Dundee United. So obviously we were going to win the Championship at Ross County, but I hadn't played in the SPL yet, and I was moving to United, and I was a wee bit nervous to go to United. I was a wee bit like, and that's only Ross County to Dundee United, and I was thinking, am I good enough for this? Am I good enough to go and play with Dundee United with these players? And then I went in, had a good pre-season and scored on my debut, and then that just left my head, and I was like, right, I'm here, I'm good enough to be here. So for lads like that, getting a move from United or wherever to a Celtic or a Rangers, I think mindset's massive.
Yeah. I've got a wee question here from the YouTube, and what a name this is for an account. It's from an account called Typhoon McFlustery. What a name that is for a Friday night, boys. And he says, Michael, what's your most memorable moment at any club you've been with?
I think the one that obviously stands out is obviously winning the League Cup final at Hampden, scoring and setting up the winner. That was special against Hibs. That was just an incredible day to win that, and we fell short a few years before that. We got beat off Dundee United in the Scottish Cup final, so to then go and win the League Cup final, I know it's not as big as the Scottish, but it was a full house at Hampden, national trophy. That would be the one. That one, and you'll hate this, that Scottish Cup run in 2010, we beat Celtic in the semi-final, and I got man of the match that day, and that for me, that was special just in the way that I think that was the first time I played against Celtic since leaving, and for me to go and get man of the match, and that was when Lenny was in charge.
Yeah.
They weren't going through a great spell, but they were still playing Ross County at Hampden, obviously expected to win, and I think we won 2-0 that day. But I had a good game, and I got man of the match, and I've still got the bottle on my bar there, just because it's just a special one. The first time you go play against the club that released you, and you get man of the match, and that's two that stand out for me: winning the League Cup final and just having a good game in that semi-final.
I remember that game that day because I think that was the only, in the run at the end of the season, I think that's the only game Lennon lost.
Aye.
I really do, and I think that was the only game. I think he'd about 8 or 9 games in charge to take out, and then he became the full-time manager. He was only interim manager, I'm sure, because he just sacked Mowbray in. And then I think that was after St Mirren took 4 off us in Paisley. That was the next game. And when we lost that, I was like, oh, season's gone so bad.
I'm sure, was he not really critical of the squad after that game, Lennon?
I think he was. I think he questioned some individuals. But I remember that game again because I was at Hampden that day. And you're right, Midge, you were absolutely tremendous that day, mate. And
like
I remember saying to my dad, hats off to him. I remember saying that to my dad, hats off to him. I says, because Celtic let the boy go. And that's exactly what you did. You went and showed them, like, here's what you're missing, and you were. I'm sure did Rocco play with you that day?
Aye, there was a few. I think Rocco, Paul Austin.
Yeah.
There was a few that had left Celtic, so that was nice. So don't get me wrong, we rode our luck. Like Celtic had loads of chances. We had Big Michael McGovern as well.
Yeah.
He had an unbelievable game as well. And see what I
That was like Celtic deserves, wasn't it?
It was unreal, man. Do you want to know what I remember about that game? Paddy McCourt coming on and just running the show for the last 20 minutes. We were all breathing out with arses, and he's just taking on 11 guys and then having a shot and winning corners and stuff. I remember thinking, who the hell is this guy, man?
How good was he, Mitch? Like, to see him up close, like what like was he watching him?
He was brilliant. I only obviously ever played against him, but I know a few lads that have played with him, and just say he was unbelievable. Like that day, you couldn't get the ball off him. Like you couldn't tackle him. It was obviously we were 2-0 up and defending for our lives, but we were 1-0 up at that time because we scored late. But he came on and he was brilliant. Like
I think that's interesting, Ryan, because there's a lot of people, even Celtic fans have said that, Paddy was fond of his booze and he lacked in fitness and stuff. But you could clearly see, mate, that he had great technical ability with the ball, and he was one of the only players I remember back in the day, mate, that he could just totally eliminate you within seconds. He drops his shoulder and goes the other way, and we've seen a couple of the games where the mazy runs he made and scored off and chipped the goalie. But I do think he was one of the players, Ryan. I think he was very underestimated.
He's probably the sort of player, mate, that in these days football with Ange or Rodgers, attacking type managers, he'd probably thrive under JP, because especially at Celtic, the wingers need to do a lot of the work in terms of getting the ball into the forwards, and Celtic kind of depend on the wingers pressing through the front and being tricky. I know it's different kind of players, but Jota last year was maybe that type of player. Brought his feet, can be tricky, can get past men. McCourt was like that. McCourt was he wasn't quick, maybe 10, 15 yards, but somewhat maybe Rogic. Rogic wasn't quick, but the ball at his feet, he was very, very quick. You couldn't get the ball off Rogic. Obviously, I'm not saying that as a player, but on the park, he was very hard to get the ball off. And like you said, with McCourt was, I can briefly remember him, JP, in the games he played, and he was a talent. And I know I say maybe don't sign guys for Ireland and stuff. It just shows you there's talent everywhere. And he came for Ireland and Derry City won it. So you wouldn't think a guy for Derry City would come and play with Celtic, and probably could have done a lot better for himself. But just think, like Mid says, things happen in football. But see, at Celtic, with Ross County, I know we play against Celtic, guys like Edward and that. How hard is it, Midge, to play against the guys who, like you say, they're worth a lot of money and stuff, and there's only so much I know as a team you can do, but sometimes when the guys are that talented, is it just hard to play against when they're at full pump?
It's so hard, like, and I remember a couple of times at County, especially at home, we'd be like, right, we're going to change our game plan today, we're going to get after them, we're going to high press them and get after them. And then 5 minutes in, you're changing your game plan back to, right, we need to sit in here. Because you go and chase, and then they just go bump, 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 triangle around you. And then we've got 5 players out the game, and then they're just attacking right on you. We always seem to like either like do brilliant against Celtic. Like, obviously we beat them a couple of times, a couple of draws, or we'd get blattered. It was never just like a 2-0. It would always be like a 1-1, we'd maybe get a 2-1, or we'd get battered 5-0. 4-0, like even at home, it was just one or the other. Like it was never like a close get beat 2-1. It was always bloody 5-0 if we got beat or that. But then the games that we've done well, we did do well. We had a good one up at County, that one that Alex Schalk got the penalty. I don't know if you remember that.
Is that the one Fiatchenko was standing at Parkhead Cross, the ref still blew for a penalty?
That one was incredible.
I remember that. That was a 2 each game, wasn't it?
Aye, I finished 2-2 that game. Ross County's winger, number 7, scored a header that game. Lads, can you believe that? A header.
I'm sure it was it Paddy Roberts that got one of the Celtic goals that day?
Aye, after about... That was an early, was it? It was an unbelievable goal as well. You cut in.
It was a good goal. I can't remember.
But it is just going back, like playing against players like that, players against Edward and stuff, like incredible. They're so quick. Everything's one touch, two touch, and then when they go to take you on, like Rogic, like you're saying, he wasn't quick, but the way he took the ball on the half turn and used his body, the player he was playing against was out of the game already, and he's only took his first touch because he was so good at taking the ball on the half turn.
Because I've said, I've kind of maybe made a bold statement, but I've kind of said previously, and I've kind of kept my mind that a lot of people talk about Kyogo, and for me, Edward, just in general, I think Edward for me is maybe close to being, I'm not saying Larson, but best kind of overall striker. I've said I thought he had everything, Mitch. I thought he was strong, powerful. He could take guys on. He could hold the ball up. He could link the play. And I don't know if you could say that. I'm not saying the best is Larson, but playing against him, could you see? I'm not saying he was too good for Celtic, but could you see that he was going to eventually go somewhere else?
Aye, he was brilliant. See as well, like even his shooting, like you couldn't. You know, a lot of strikers are just right foot. He was right foot, left foot. Like if he squares you up, you don't know what way he's going to go. He was so good, and just how you're saying, like so quick, so powerful. He was strong as well, like such a strong guy. But obviously Larson's Larson, and everybody Celtic always sign a striker and they'd be like, oh, could it be? It's never going to be. But
never.
These players will come in their own right and do well. Like Edward done brilliant. Like he doesn't need to be Henrik Larsson. He's just his own guy going to Celtic to do well, and he done brilliant.
Aye, I loved him, JP Edward. I thought he was.
Yeah.
It's a sort of guys at Celtic. Like, I know you pay to see Celtic and you pay to go and see the football, but guys like him and Jota and stuff, they're hard to come across. And for me, that's what football's all about. It's getting guys off the seats. And for me, Edward done that for me.
Yeah, I think as Miz says there as well, Larsson's iconic, you know, and I think it's unfair because I've always said this, Miz, as well. It's like the left back position at Celtic at the moment. I think everybody's going to be compared to Kieran Tierney now, for what Kieran brought to Celtic and everything. I think it's the same. Whatever striker comes in, they're always going to now be compared to Henrik, and in terms of what they bring the team, and so there's always Celtic have always had that focal point of. You know, years past, it was Jimmy Johnston. So it was like Celtic, every winger that Celtic bring into the club or bring, you know, is he going to be like him? Is he going to do this? So I think sometimes I think that can be a bit unfair as well. But I think that relates back to Midge as well when you were saying earlier about the pressure of playing with Celtic and, you know, coming in, because as a player, when you're coming to Celtic Park with Ross County, what like's that on the other end? I know obviously you've experienced some match days and stuff with the Celtic first team and stuff like that, but obviously coming in the other end, getting into the away dressing room and hearing the roar of the play, what likes you feeling in that? Does that like does some of the boys in their heads drop? Or I mean, because right away there's a massive, you know, eyes are on you as well if it's a televised game as well. So what likes you overall feeling in that aspect?
See, for me, and don't get us wrong, there would have been players probably shitting themselves, like or nervous or whatever. But for me, and I know a couple of others as well, it's like you're not expected to do anything. You're going to Celtic Park, you're playing against Celtic. You're not expected to win the game. You're probably not expected to get a goal. Like there's no pressure whatsoever on you going to these places. So I used to love it. I just used to love going back there. Like you'd walk in, you'd see all the same people that worked there when I was a young boy. So right away, I'm feeling relaxed and chilled. But obviously, there would have been a few lads in the team a bit nervous or whatever. But for me, it was always just like we're not expected to do anything here. There's no pressure on us whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was always that chat. Like, can we get in at 0-0? Like, are the fans? So obviously, Celtic fans are brilliant, but if they're not beating Ross County at half time, I'm not saying they're going to boo at half time, but they'll be a bit disgruntled. Like, can we kind of turn the fans? And that was always the thought process going to places like that. And then it gets wrong. Like sometimes you would go and you would get 0-0 or you'd just be 1-0 down. But then sometimes you'd go and you'd be 4-0 down at half time. And then the half time team talks like, right, let's just get beat 4-0 a day. Let's don't concede anymore. Like.
Is it quite intimidating though? Coming in on the other side of that, is it intimidating when you're in the dressing room? Because obviously we've been told, like doing the tours and stuff like that, that you guys can actually hear the in the dressing room, you can actually hear the stand. So, what like's that feeling? Because I said to Ryan, even if you're in the home dressing room and you hear that, that must send butterflies into your stomach, man. Like, I can't wait to walk out in that. But then if you're the opposing team, you're going to, obviously, nobody wants you there for 90 minutes. So it's a kind of, it must be a totally, I've always thought it must be a totally different feeling. And speaking to guys like yourself, I'm always intrigued to get the, you know, the overall vibe and how it feels.
Aye, I see what, everybody's different. Like for me, I came through at Celtic, like I wanted to play for Celtic in front of their fans. I wanted them to be my fans. I wanted to play in front of 60,000 every week. And I've still went away and done good enough to come back and play against them. So I had butterflies, like maybe a wee bit nervous, but I'd be like, I can't wait to get out there. I can't wait to play in that arena, like whether it's Celtic Park, Ibrox, wherever we're playing. Used to love playing at Hearts because it was right on top of you. But that's when you're growing up as a kid, the use would have been the same. That's what you want to go and play in front of as many fans as you can. You want to play at Celtic Park and Hampden. And when you get the chance to go and do it, you don't know if you're going to play there 4 times over your career or once. So you kind of need to try and make the most of it because it might only be once.
Yeah. Well, I was buzzing. I mean, I got to play at Celtic Park, but unfortunately, it was just my guitar I played instead of football. But that's a different story, you know what I mean? But Ryan, mad you spot on there in terms of the, you know, the overall feeling, because it just shows you as well, mate. Different players act differently in certain situations. Because again, from the onlook, from like a fan perspective, I think they think, oh no, well, if one guy's nervous, it means they're all going to be like a bag of washing here. But that's not the case. It's, you know, sometimes it can be like guys like Midge buzzing, and when you see that maybe in your dressing room, you probably get to feed off it.
Aye, well, a lot of guys. Some guys don't get any nerves, JP. Some guys do. Some guys are sick before games. That's just guys' routines or rituals. And I think when you are maybe like Ross County or Dundee United, teams that maybe no get 60,000, some like might say some people just react differently. Some guys thrive under pressure. Maybe it's the sky cameras there. There's 60,000. I'm playing against Celtic. I'm not saying you're putting yourself in the shop window, but you're showcasing your skills in a massive arena. And not many guys can say, JP, they've played at Celtic in general, but playing in front of big, massive crowds. And like Mid says, that's one thing you want to do is when you're growing up and lucky enough, me and you're playing in front of crowds, but there's some guys who have no played in front of crowds. And you've got to have a certain mentality to go and do that as well. But there was 2 questions for John Midge. One was, have you ever thought about going abroad, or is there any offers for abroad? And the other one was, how's the rehab as a professional? Have you been injured before badly? Is the rehab different for going for full-time, part-time? How's the injury process? Is it totally different, or do you still get the same kind of treatment as a lower league go down?
Aye. Abroad was never really, I never really had, I wouldn't say an opportunity. There was a couple of wee things, but I was never really, it was like Malta and Bulgaria and stuff like that. I was just no for me. And that was when I signed for Dundee United as well. So it was just about that time. So it was never really for me abroad. And I just, on the injuries, when you get like, it's even at Ross County, I got, I've been quite lucky in my career. I broke my foot 10 weeks I was out. And then I done a bad one. I ruptured the tendon in my hamstring. I was like right under my arse. And Ross County were brilliant. Looked after me, sent me down to London. I went to see this surgeon, right? So big time, it was unreal. He started rattling off all the players that he'd treated and operated on. Because obviously you need to go in the room with him, and he says, right, this is operation you need. I need to go ahead. He was like, you're going to have a 70% chance of coming back and playing. There's that wee 30 that you might not. He's like, but, and then he just started like battering off these names. He was like, Alan Shearer, Ryan Giggs. He's like, I've done all these guys now. And I'm thinking, now you're doing Michael Gardyne for Ross County, get it up there. But that was the same time. Harry Kane was there as well. He'd done the exact same thing as me. And he was there getting the operation the same day. It was mental, like surreal. But Ross County looked after me, sent me down there, paid whatever they paid, and then I went back up to Ross County with a rehab programme from this surgeon and obviously the physios at Ross County. And it was basically like, if you don't follow this rehab plan to the book, like if you try and skip and go ahead, you're not going to come back and play. And I think it was like 4.5, 5 months I was meant to be out. And I followed it every single day. The physio, Kevin Bain, was brilliant. And I was back, I think it was 4 months I was back. And I felt great when I came back. And then I think like part-time, I think every club's different. I'm not too sure. I've only ever been at Montrose, so but there's a few lads like Kerr Waddle and Terry Masson this season have both done their knees cruciates, and they've went and got their operations and they're on the comeback trail now. Both of them will be out for the season, right enough, but they're getting looked after from the club, from the physios, and getting the rehab. It's just that way with your full time. You work Monday to, you're actually in on your day off. So you're in Monday to Friday, and then you'll be in sometimes on a Sunday as well. But at part-time, the physios they'll see you a Tuesday and a Thursday, and then a Saturday if you come to the game. So it's different that way. So these lads that are getting injured at part-time, they'll be needing to do more themselves, like get to a gym. They've probably got a job as well, a daytime job. They need to try and find time to get to a gym to do their rehab, whatever it is they need to do. So it is hard from that point. But I can only really speak from Montrose, and they're brilliant the way they've looked after the boys that have been injured while I've been here.
Because I don't think, Midge, that a lot of, again, maybe me and JP now and a privilege that I spoke to guys like yourself, and you speak to guys who are in the game and kind of play the game yourself, we kind of know a wee bit about it, but a lot of fans just think because you get paid money, you're injured, that's all right, you've got money or you're getting treated well. But the mentality thing, because I'm sure Celtic changed it, but I don't know if it was the same when you were there, Midge, if you were at Lennoxtown or no, but I'm sure Celtic's training, the treadmills used to face the training run. And for me as a player, that must be heartbreaking knowing that they're training and you're doing a treadmill or walking and you've still got another 4 or 5, 6 months. But the mentality, but I think, like you say, it must help you, but being guys that are supporting you, because I think maybe being part-time, during that injury, you might have not come back as strong, but we've had all the guys around you helping you to a team in full-time. It's obviously stands you in massive stead to go and push on in your career.
Aye, definitely. I think that's obviously just a fan opinion, like, he's still getting a wage, like, they're no bought. But every player wants to, like, you're getting a wage to play football. We're basically, me throughout my career, I got paid. I was lucky enough to get paid to do my hobby. My hobby from when I was 4 till 10 was playing football. And I was lucky enough to go and do it professionally. Like, the last thing you want to be doing is in the treatment room, in the gym. It's soul destroying. Like, in the gym, like, and people that say, oh, he's happy, like, obviously I'm just speaking for me, but a lot of players I've seen being injured in that, you want to be on the pitch, like, the last thing you want to be is in the gym. You might be the only person injured, so you're just in the gym on your own all day. Like, there's nothing worse. Everybody wants to play, everybody wants to train.
In the gym on your own doing the Yankee Bravos.
See that Mulgrew, man, that's one of the best I've ever heard in my life, man.
Oh,
the Yankee Bravos.
Imagine fun for that, man. Yoga ball and he's like Yankee Bravos. Brilliant. Superb. Do you get any other funny stories about Big Charlie being at Celtic that with him?
See
what? You're allowed
just,
to say. You're allowed to say.
That you're allowed to say.
Just when you said there was a grass earlier.
Just in case Keith Jackson's watching us, you know what I mean?
we were like 18, 19, and we were going out like Tuesday night tunnel. Everybody loved it.
Oh, tunnel! I love tunnel, man. Brilliant.
You know the NCP car park was right across there. It's still there. Still there, aye. I can't remember who drove in that day. I can't remember. Somebody drove anyway. Somebody that was a weirdo and doesn't bevy. Can't remember who it was. Anyway, so we've all got out the motors and Big Charlie's needing a piss, right? So he just takes a piss off the, you know how it was like just a wall and you could see like right down. He's taking a piss off, mate. There's a big Range Rover sport thing down below. So Charlie's taking a piss off it and we're all laughing our heads off. And then it goes down the lift and out, some big burly bastard standing there saying, "Who's pissed on my car? Who's pissed on my car?" We're all just like that. Yeah, I've never seen somebody so big shit themselves so much. He was like in the wallet pulling out 20s. Mate, I'm sorry. There you go, get your car valeted. Sorry, like there you go, get your car valeted.
Oh, brilliant!
That's
So a
good
big
one.
streak of piss was Ston and taking a piss on somebody's motor.
Right on somebody's range. Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant, man.
Try to pay for the boys' valet and that. Brilliant.
Did the guy recognise you? No.
Nah, probably no. Probably would have only been Aidan that had played in the first team by that time, I think.
Right.
Brilliant, man.
Aidan, I know, there's another one. Aidan. It's big thing they still we use, Midge, big Sean Dillon.
Aye, Dill's still there.
Aye.
He's 40 now, just fit.
Is he?
So
Same age
fit.
as me? No way, man.
Aye. So fit, looks after himself, like nutritionally. He doesn't bevy, he's never touched bevy in his full life.
Oh, all right.
He's so chiseled, like 6-pack, everything. Just a good
Sounds
professional.
Like
Aye,
I want to get the half 10 show soon.
He's linked up your subs, me man.
Aye.
He's just a great professional that's looked after himself in his career.
Valentine's Day special with Sean Dillon. That'll be brilliant, won't it?
What a title, by the way. What a title that is. I'll get a few lookers. Might get Charlie Mulgrew pissing on Range Rovers on the way to watching it, but right enough.
But see, that's one thing, Midge. Obviously, before we let you go, mate, I know you've got kids and that, mate. So that's one thing I think I miss about playing. It's obviously I miss playing football, but JP will probably tell you, and it's maybe something you probably miss when maybe events when you still retire. You're no retired yet. You're still playing at a good level, mate. You're still doing very well with Montrose. So, but it's a
new deal, no?
Aye. So it's the banter in the dressing room and the social side. I'm not saying nights out or the pinnacle of football teams, but it's that I miss the social side and the banter, and I think that helps when you own the park as well, Midge. I think when you're a lot of good pals on the park and off the park, I think it helps your team as well.
Aye, definitely that. Honestly, even if you're in the dressing room for half an hour before you go to training, that half an hour is brilliant. Just like you've got lads taking the piss with each other, just like catching up with each other, like all sorts. It's just the best place to be. And that's the only reason I signed another year, because I didn't want I'm going to miss the dressing room. So I'm just signing another year so I could hang about in the dressing room and get an artist.
So see that next year, obviously, apart from the banter in the dressing room, is that going to be your last year then, Midge? Do you reckon? What's your aspirations? Are you looking to move into coaching, management? What have you got planned?
I don't know. I just turned 38 there in January, so obviously getting old, but see what, I feel good, I feel fit. I've still got a tiny wee bit of sharpness in me, and I'm playing centre mid now as well, which obviously helps. I'm not running up and down the wing, so I've been moved into centre mid, which I'm enjoying, getting a bit more of the ball and stuff. But I just take it as it comes. Obviously, I've still got this season to go, and then I've got another year, and then I'll just see what will I be. I'll be 39 and a half at the end of that year. But I'm not too sure about coaching. I've never done my badges or that. You could do them through the PFA easy enough, but
yeah,
I just can't see myself turning into a Jackie McNamara.
Did you see the headline for his autobiography? How not to be Jackie McNamara when you jump football?
Aye.
But listen, what an amazing story, mate. I think Ryan, you'll agree with me there in terms of. So that's just we've obviously just touched probably the surface of some of the stories Miz could probably tell us, but.
Like I say, JP, there's loads of things. Like an hour or 2 hours of podcast with these guys is you can sit all day talking about football to guys like Midge and poor guys he's played with, and there's probably stories you can't mention, and he's probably got a waiver that you can't mention them. So there's loads of stories that you can't put on YouTube. But like I say, JP, talking to guys like Midge and getting their knowledge and stories, it's one reason why we do this podcast. Obviously, it's for the fans, but when you get guys like Midge on and to tell your experiences, it's stuff guys don't get first hand, mate. So again, thanks a lot, Midge, and thanks for coming on, mate.
No, brilliant. Thanks for having me. Obviously, let you down a couple of times. It wasn't my fault though. I wasn't just bullshit.
No, you've not let us down, mate. You've not let us down. It's just sometimes.
Just don't get the 46, but Midget takes your directions next time. We'll get the 46 next time.
No, I'm delighted to get on and have a good chat with you lads.
No, I'm just glad you've been able to keep in touch with us for the last time as well, mate. Because as I say, I like what Ryan says as well. It's always good to get guys like yourself on, and just a short time ago there with Kevin McNaughton on as well, with a lot of really good similar stories about Scottish football, and that's what we love. We love just chatting football and finding out a lot of stories and experiences for guys that went to a level that we just never managed to get to. I was too busy trying to make myself look like Sean Dillon through the years, you know what I mean, and not looking after myself.
I was too busy in tandem still on it, mate, so I'm not doing very well.
Man, I put up that wee 40 you seen him earlier on. That's his profile 40 for Thunder. I wonder why he's not doing any swipes. His debit card in Sheffield a couple of weeks ago with more swipes than his Thunder did.
I know. I says about it. Tequila Rose, man.
Aye, definitely. But Madge, obviously we'll definitely keep in touch, mate, and we'll need to get a chat again sometime, mate.
Part 3.
Part 3, yeah, we could have a part 3, but the next one you need to let loose. You're going to need to tell us more about Jackie McNamara and Charlie Mulgrew, because I think there's a mountain of stories to come there. I really do.
Oh, mate, they're on that cupboard, mate. They're on that cupboard.
Just before we go, we did get a question earlier on to find out that jersey that's framed behind you. What jersey's that?
That's my League Cup final one.
Right, okay.
Aye, that's the League Cup final one.
Right. Amazing.
Oh, brilliant, man.
Amazing.
Nice, so that's
amazing.
That one.
That's superb.
Special one, that.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely. It's obviously a big moment to cherish and stuff like that as well. Right, well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for tonight, folks.
We'll still need that wee button. Oh,
I know.
I
know. It's like the crowd goes, oh. Or the crowd in it, by the way, the crowd in our chat sometimes doesn't say that.
No.
Hurry up, get off. But no, mate, it's been a pleasure, totally. And thanks very much for getting up your Friday night to come and
thank you, mate.
As well.
No problem, lads. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Cheers, Midge. Take care, mate.
For everybody else that's tuned in tonight, I want to say a massive thank you. I hope I've done my best to try and put a lot of your comments up and your questions over to Michael. We'll be back on Sunday with some match reaction from our cup game versus St Mirren. But until then, folks, have a blessed weekend. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
See you later.